Torah isn't just laws and stories. It's a spotlight pointing to Jesus. Genesis, the promised seed. Exodus, the Passover lamb. Leviticus, the high priest. Numbers, the living water. Deuteronomy, the prophet greater than Moses. From the beginning to the end, the Torah whispers Jesus in the Torah.
Shalom, everybody. Welcome to this week's Journey Through Torah. This week, we start another cycle. We're starting over again with the book of the beginnings, Bereshit, often called Genesis, but in the book of the beginnings, Bereshit means in the beginning. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the very beginning of the entirety of the Torah, the very beginning of the word of Yahweh, the foundational things about what he desires for us to know so that we can live, how to know him, how to know how he's called us to be, how to know his desires for us, the plan of redemption. All of these things start right here. Okay, so in these first few chapters of Bereshit, there's so many different directions that you can go that it's pretty difficult, at times can be intimidating about how to do all this. But I kind of want to start with the first things first, and we're going to get to this. The idea behind the entirety of the Torah is Yahweh wants relationship with you. That's it. The entirety of everything is that he desires to dwell with you. And literally what we see is he desires to dwell within you. And isn't this what Yeshua said? That the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, lives in you. That we are to be one with him and one with one another. All of these things are pictures that start from the beginning of everything. And what that means for our lives as well. The roles and responsibility of life and the things that he has given to us. All of this goes back to the very beginning, even down to he has called you to be a royal priesthood, a holy nation. All the way back in the beginning, this is revealed. So we're going to get into some of these things today. We're going to talk about you and the pictures of a royal priesthood, the pictures of even down to the tabernacle in the very beginning of everything, and even down to at the start of everything in creation, with the very first letter of the Torah, we see a good foundational element for all of it. Okay, starting with Bereshit. Bereshit, though, the first letter is Bet, which means house. Beit is a house. So at the very beginning of everything, we see Yahweh creating a house. What is a house? When we think a house, we think of, a structure with walls and things like that. That's not the intent here, really. The house is not just what it looks like, it's what is its function. A house is a place for those within the house to dwell together, to have a place of safety, to have a place to commune together. All of this looking together, a place of protection. All of this is what happens within the house. And this grabs our attention in the Torah because in the scrolls, the very first letter is written much larger than the rest of the letters. This is not a strange concept to us because even in a lot of literature books, the very first letter of a chapter or even in titles, it's larger. But here in the Torah, it's done like this to grab our attention, to show us something, that the house is important. And what is the purpose, the intent of the house? Providing a place to dwell. How about this? A place where Yahweh wants to dwell in you and with you. And we see that, like I said, throughout the Torah. But if we go back here, let's kind of break this down a little bit. Genesis 2, we're going to go forward to chapter 2, verses 7 and 8. It says, Yahweh God formed the man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living creature. And Yahweh planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. Okay, so a couple things here is this. Yahweh took from the dust of the earth outside of the garden, and he formed him and placed him in the garden. And what we have here is if we draw the picture, we have earth, and then in earth, we have a place called Eden. And in a place in Eden, we have a garden. And then even within the garden, we have the two trees in the midst of the garden. Okay, so even when we're looking in here, we have somewhat of a temple or tabernacle type of structure if we're looking at this. because he planted the garden in Eden, and he planted the man there. He placed the man there as well. Let's look at this. It says Yahweh planted a garden in Eden. The word there is ve'ita. The root is nata, which means to set firmly or to plant something. And then it says there he put the man whom he had formed. To put is vayasem, which means to appoint, to ordain, or to lay something, or to place something there. So again, he sets firmly this place, this garden in eastward in Eden, and then there he appoints and ordains and puts and lays the man whom he had formed. Psalm 92, 12 and 13 says, the righteous flourish like a palm tree and grow like a cedar in Lebanon. They are planted in the house of Yahweh. They flourish in the courts of our God. The idea here is the planting and flourishing where he puts you, and flourishing in this place, which has somewhat of a tabernacle and a temple kind of structure, right? You know, we have the courtyard, then we have, as you approach, we have the holy place and the most holy place. Well, excuse me, we have Eden, and in the midst of Eden, we have a garden, and in the garden, we have the two trees. So even in this, we have pictures of structure of where the presence of where we're supposed to be. Right? Remember, there was one tree Yahweh said don't eat, and that was from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But in the midst of that, just as well, was the tree of life. And we often don't talk about that one. But that was there too. But if the only tree he was not supposed to eat from would have been the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, he was supposed to eat from the tree of life. But he chose instead to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So again, the tree of life, that could be a symbol of the most holy place as well. We even see the tree of life being symbols of the Torah, tree of life being in the revelation that we see at the end of the book, right? The tree of life that's there. And so there's a lot to be said here. The idea is in the presence of Yahweh, that's where we're supposed to be, and he is life, right? Now, furthermore, one of the things Adam was created for was to be an example and a light to those who would descend from him. We even go forward to a commentary from Isaiah 42, 5 and 6. Not only is this a declaration, a word of Yahweh, but this is also some commentary on some things that we have seen from before. Let's look at this. So it says, Isaiah 42, 5 and 6, thus says God Adonai, who created the heavens, who spread them out, who stretched out the earth and all that grows from it, who gives breath to the people on it and spirit to those who walk on it. Again, we have a picture of breath and the people and the spirit and all this. How did he create Adam? Right? He fashioned him, he formed him, he breathed into him, created a living soul, right? So we have a picture of the breath of Yahweh, the spirit of Yahweh, and the soul and the body, all of this being, you are a picture of a tabernacle or a temple as well. Body, soul, spirit's a good example of that, right? You have a courtyard, that is the separation from the earthly realm, and then as you approach, you have your desire to move forward, and then at the very core of that, you have the place where you actually commune with Yahweh. All of this is a picture of him dwelling in you, all right? So continuing on, verse 6, I, Adonai, called you righteously. I took hold of you by the hand, I shaped you and made you a covenant for the people to be a light to the nations. Okay, so first things first here, Yahweh is the creator of all, and he is the sustainer of all that he created. First things first. He created everything, and he sustains everything that was created. We see that in Colossians a little later on, right? It said, by him all things consist, and everything that was created by him, for him, through him, right? So again, in the creating of everything, he makes everything to continue, okay? He says, this is Adonai who created the heavens, who spread them out, who does all of these things, right? That would include mankind. Now, as his created, what was the purpose that Yahweh has for us? As those who have been created, what is Yahweh's purpose for us? I, Adonai, called you righteously, took hold of you by the hand, I shaped you and made you a covenant for the people to be a light for the nations. Again, I, Adonai, called you righteously. So we're supposed to walk righteously. I took hold of you by the hand. He walked with Adam in the cool of the day, in the ruach of the day. I shaped you. He did. She shaped us. He fashioned us. I made you a covenant for the people. We are supposed to show the covenant life that he has given to us, and to pass that on to generation and to those nations around us, a light for the nations, all of this. And so first off, I've called you to be righteous. Adam was supposed to live righteously, and he was supposed to increase and multiply and to be a light for the nations of all that would descend from him. This was to start something that we will call his priestly duties. Yeah, Adam was supposed to be a type of a priest. And so again, we see, we have Yeshua, the last Adam, right? So we have the picture of the first Adam, the last Adam. Again, all of this is pictures of priesthood that Yahweh has given to us. And if he is a model of priesthood and a foreshadow of Yeshua that would come, then where's his temple? Where's the worship? Where's all of these things, right? So all these are all things to look at. So Adam was supposed to guard and protect and worship and serve. How do we know this? Back to Bereshit chapter 2, verses 8 to 10. So Adonai God planted a garden toward the east in Eden. There he put the person whom he had formed. Out of the ground, God Adonai caused to grow every tree, pleasing in appearance and good for food, including the tree of life in the middle of the garden and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out from Eden to water the garden, and from it divided into 4 streams. Okay, so again, like I said, we have a place called Eden. In the midst of Eden, towards the east, we have a garden, and then in the midst of the garden, we have the trees, like a tabernacle or a temple kind of structure. And so now, out of the ground, he caused to come out the trees that are pleasing in appearance and good for food, including the tree in the midst of the garden, which was the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You see where the accent is, right? The tree of life was in the middle of the garden. That was the important thing. That was what Yahweh wanted us to do. And so as Adam was put in the garden, he was told to keep, to guard, to protect, and much like the priestly duties, the priests are supposed to protect the sanctity of the holy things. Right? They were supposed to protect the tabernacle, to make sure it was undefiled, to make sure that no one tried to overcome it and conquer it, or to defile it, or to bring something that unclean into it. All of these things, they were to guard and to protect. Adam was supposed to do the same thing. It says, first off, he was to dress it and to keep it, right? And so how did he dress it and keep it? The phrasing is la'avda. The word is eved that's used there, which means to work, but eved is also a servant. And avodah is what they call the Yom Kippur service. So the idea here is to work, to be a servant, and worship. They have the same word here that can be used in any of these different ways. So he took him, and so the connection, like I said, the altar, the things that were done on the altar were called the avodah. So he took him into work and to serve, and then ul shamra, that's a shamar, which means to keep, to guard, and to protect. And so to watch over, to keep, to guard, to protect, to serve, to worship, and to, I mean, this is all things that were given that we think in the natural realm. But again, this had a connection to the priesthood, because this is how the Kohanim and the Leviim were supposed to engage in the tabernacle and the altar and all of these things as well. Okay, so let's look at this. Numbers 18, 6 and 7, Yahweh spoke to Aaron. It says, behold, I have taken your brothers, the Levites from among the people of Israel. They are a gift to you given to Yahweh to do the service of the tent of meeting. That's work and worship. And when people brought the offerings to the altar, that was worship, but that was also work that had to be done. It wasn't easy. That was work, right? Verse 7, and you and your sons with you shall guard your priesthood for all that concerns the altar, and that is within the veil, and you shall serve. And I give your priesthood as a gift to any outsider who comes near shall be put to death. So this was a service that was done there, not only to facilitate worship, but to guard, to watch over, to preserve, to serve. All of this was given in there. And we see later on that Yahweh was telling the people of Israel, after he redeemed them from Mitzrayim, he brought them out into the wilderness, and he brought them to the mountain to reveal himself to them, to equip them with his presence, all the things we see today. But what we have here is that Yahweh says, now I want you to build a place that I may dwell among them. And that's an interesting way to put that, because where he says to dwell among them can literally be read to dwell within them. Okay, the idea here is as they're building the tabernacle, The writer of Hebrews says that these were copies of the things that were in the heavens. So literally, you're building on earth as it is in heaven, kind of a thing, okay? And so literally what's happening here is we are building a model of the place where Yahweh dwells so that we can carry it with us wherever we go. And what better way to show us this picture than to carry it with us wherever we go? In other words, Yahweh wants to show the people that he can dwell not just among them, but within them. And that was the goal. That was the plan. So Exodus 25, 8 and 9, it says, let them make a sanctuary that I may dwell in their midst, exactly as I show you concerning the pattern of the tabernacle and all of its furniture, so shall you make it. So it says to dwell in their midst. Betocham is the Hebrew word that's used there. And the word tavek, the root of that, literally means to bisect and place at the very center of. So it doesn't just mean I want to be your next door neighbor. It means I want to dwell among them, which can be read, I want to dwell within them, at the very core of them and who they are. That it's not the tent where I dwell, but it is my people that I dwell. Okay? And we see in Exodus 15:2, it says, Yahweh is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. He is my God. I will prepare him a habitation. My father's God, and I will exalt him. How do we prepare a habitation for him? He who is limitless. The idea here is I will prepare him my heart. I will prepare him me. I will set myself apart as he said I am. He said, you are holy, right? So as a holy people, we agree with him, walk with him, set ourselves apart to him, and then we learn to walk in his ways. Okay, so then Adam was instructed to, in Genesis 2, 15 and 17, Yahweh took God of man and he put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And then Yahweh God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it. From the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. So again, to keep, to guard, and to protect. And to protect what? Well, not just to literally walk out and do what he said, don't eat from that tree, but also to watch over the words that were said. And that's something that we need to take to heart as well. Literally, we need to take the word of Yahweh, write it on our hearts, take it to heart, literally, so that we're not deceived when other things try to come around, when other things try to paint doubt on what was said. How many times do you hear somebody say something and you're thinking, wait a minute, I was there in that situation. This is not what was said, or this is not what was done, right? You can be in a group of people and they all hear what's being said, but their understanding of what's being said is different for each person. And so we kind of don't hear what's being said. We translate what's being said into what we think somebody said. And that's where communication often breaks down. We don't hear what's being said. We hear what we think is being said. And that's why when you're having conversations with people, it's good to ask for clarification. Right? Well, what I'm hearing is this. Is this what you're saying? Because a lot of times it's not the same thing. Okay? So what happens here is we need to take the word of Yahweh, read it, learn to walk in it literally, that we do what the word says day by day. We're following his instructions, which he gave to us after he redeemed us. He didn't say, I've redeemed you. Now you're on your own. Right? Much like when he brought the people out of Mitzrayim, he brought them to the mountain. After he brought them through the water, he brought them to the mountain to show them him, to reveal his life and his character to them, to give them the word, to give them his presence, his ruach, his spirit, ruach Elohim, to go with them so that they could walk in the promises and the covenants and everything that he said for their good. Right? So like today, when he redeems you, he doesn't say, I have redeemed you. Good luck. No, he said, I have redeemed you. Here is my word. Get it in you. Right? Yeshua, when he said, follow me, he didn't say, follow me. And then he just kind of walked around and just kind of laid around and never said anything and never taught anything. He said, follow me. Then he instructed them in the word of Yahweh and how they were to apply that word daily, all around them in their lives every day. So doing the word helps solidify the word in our hearts and in our minds and in our lives. And understanding the word of Yahweh, we have different revelations of it, okay? We have different degrees of understanding of it, but the word doesn't change, right? Yahweh does not change. Just as much today as it was then, Hasatan is trying to distort the view of Yahweh and trying to distort the word that he gave to us. If I can cast just enough doubt on something, then, it'll cast doubt on everything. But we must understand, like Malachi 3:6 says, I am Yahweh, I change not. Right? Scripture testifies of Yeshua that he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. These are things we need to keep in mind. Okay? That Yahweh desires to dwell within his people. And so he provided a place for all doubts to be, all doubts of what was to be established could be extinguished, like the tabernacle. Build a tabernacle so that you will understand and you can see with your own eyes that I dwell among you. But what I want you to understand as you're picking this up and carrying it with you is that I'm going with you no matter where you go. That you are this tabernacle. And that what it says in Corinthians, that you are the temple of the Holy Spirit. You are the place for him to dwell. As such, we need to carry his presence with us, right? That this was a place to show us how Yahweh desires to dwell within us. Okay, how do we do this? First off, surrendering ourselves to Yahweh, repentance, right? He redeems us. Then we need to do like what the prayer that Yeshua had for his disciples in John chapter 17, where he says, Father, I pray that they are one like you and I are one. This awesome prayer for his disciples. It's not just about that they are one with the Father, but it's also that they are one with each other. If we can learn to dwell in a place of unity, we are preparing a place for Yahweh to dwell. Yahweh will not dwell among disunity, disharmony, and chaos. He will not dwell in the midst of that. God is a God of order, right? Now, he can come and set it all straight, but he wants us to submit ourselves to him and do what he says is right and proper and learn to dwell with each other. Now, this doesn't mean we have to agree on everything either. It's a big misunderstanding of things today. We think if I don't agree with you, then I hate you. That's not the case. Or if I disagree with you, I can't live in your area. If I disagree with you, we can't be neighbors. That's not the case. Okay. If I agree with you or not doesn't change how I treat you or how I interact with you. Okay. But because I care about what Yahweh says, and because I care about that which he has created, I also care about how he says we're supposed to live. So yes, we're going to disagree on how this is walked out and how this is lived out. But that does not change, should not change, how we treat each other. Okay? When we are walking in a place of unity, Yahweh is bigger than my disagreement with you, right? Or when we do have misunderstandings and disagreements and things that hurt us, are we willing to try to make it right? Are we willing to go to the person like Yeshua said to do and try to make amends, try to repair the relationship? Or does something happen and we say nothing and walk away in offense and tell other people? That's not how we're supposed to handle things. We need to prepare a place of unity. And unity doesn't mean, well, I'll stand in the same room with you, but I'm still mad at you. You can't harbor that. You can't harbor that. We need to learn that we are family. We are a body together. And as a body together, we all need to work in a place of unity for the common goal. To magnify Yahweh, to see his kingdom here on the earth, to prepare within us a place for Yahweh to dwell so that he dwells among us. See that? When we in our life have Yahweh as a goal, Yahweh as he said he lives in us. And so we want to live as he says. But when we have his spirit within us, we're learning to walk according to his word, then we're going to together have a big impact on that. Isaiah 57:14-15 says, and it shall be said, build up, prepare the way, remove every obstruction from my people's way. For thus says the one who is high and lifted up, who inhabits eternity. whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place, and also with him who is of a contrite and lowly spirit, to revive the spirit of the lowly and revive the heart of the contrite. Again, the goal is that Yahweh dwells in you. Let's go over to Romans chapter 8, verses 10 and 11. It says, but if the Messiah is in you, he's implying the Messiah is in you. But if the Messiah is in you, though the body is dead because of sin, yet the spirit is alive because of righteousness. And if the Ruach of the one who raised Yeshua from the dead dwells in you, then the one who raised Messiah Yeshua from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through his Ruach who dwells in you. What's some of the key points in this passage of Scripture? He lives in you. And if he lives in you, then that's going to affect, again, how we treat each other. That's going to affect our view of life and how things work. It's going to affect our day by day. 2 Corinthians 4, 6, and 7 says, God who said, let light shine out of darkness is the one who has shone in our hearts. So to give light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Messiah. But we have this treasure in jars of clay, so that the surpassing greatness of power may be from God and not from ourselves. See that? He who said, let the light shine, he or light exists, light be at the beginning of creating of everything. He who created all that is the one who lives in you. It is that light that was in the beginning that is the light that dwells within you. We see in John chapter 1, it says he is the light that was in the beginning. He's the light that was life, and that light was the life of men. That's you. Galatians 2:20 says, it is no longer I who live, but Messiah lives in me. And the life I now live in the body, I live by trusting, that's faith, in Ben Elohim, the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself up for me. Ephesians 3:17 says that the Messiah may dwell in your hearts through faith. I pray that you being rooted and grounded in love. So again, the Messiah dwelling in our hearts. Colossians 1:27 says, God chose to make known to them this glorious mystery regarding the nations, which is Messiah in you, the hope of glory. This mystery among the nations, the Messiah in you, that he dwells and lives in you. And in John 14:16-18, we read, Yeshua says, I will ask the Father, and he will give you another helper, so that he may be with you forever, the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it does not behold him or know him. You know him, because he abides with you and will be in you. I will not abandon you as orphans. I will come to you. That's what we're looking at, guys. Yahweh wants to live in you so that we can see his kingdom here on earth, so that we can live as his people set apart. The world is going crazy. The world is going nuts. It's dark out there. What are you doing to change it? You can't just run and hide. Now is the time for the people of Yahweh to be that light that was in the beginning, that is in you. Yeshua says, I'm the light of the world, but Yeshua also told his disciples, you are the light of the world. And as such, he's called you to live in righteousness, to be a light to the nations, to show people the way. That which was created in the beginning was a place for Yahweh to dwell among that which he created. What we're seeing here in the manifestation of that today is Yahweh created you so that he could dwell in you. He wants relationship with you. He loves you, and he wants to walk together. That's what we're looking at. It's to the restoration of all things. Back to the garden, if you will. So, there's a lot in here, guys, that you can go further in. There's a lot of other directions of things that you can go in the beginning chapters of Genesis, the beginning chapters of Bereshit. But I think just kind of laying out the foundation for this cycle of the Torah portions, I believe it's just good to just start off with the plain simple fact, in the very beginning of everything, Yahweh wants relationship with you. That's the core foundation of everything. He wants a relationship with you. He provided covenant so that you can be in relationship with him and to be his and to be set apart from this world and to really have life and have it abundantly. Isn't that what Yeshua said? Okay, so that's all I have for you today, guys. I pray this has been a blessing to you, encouraged you, challenged you even. That is the idea, right? That we are challenged to change. And if this has been a blessing to you, then I ask, please share them. These videos, however you watch or listen, videos or podcast or audio, whatever it is, please share it on whatever avenue you do tune into these, because that helps us. If it's been a blessing to you, it's going to be a blessing to somebody else too, right? And if this has blessed you, then please consider making a donation to help us continue making these videos and putting them out there. The different platforms, the equipment, and the time and the upkeep and maintenance, and just the different things that are involved in doing this. It costs us to do it, and we do it because you enable us to do it. Okay, so if this has been a blessing to you, then please consider making a donation to help us continue to make these videos and put them out there. Okay, so until next time, be blessed, be a blessing, and shalom.
Thank you for watching Jesus in the Torah. If you would like, subscribe, and share these teachings with your friends. For more resources, please visit HFF.church and visit our campuses in Oklahoma City and Dallas on Saturdays. Remember, everything points to Jesus.